was emotionally homeless. All I wanted was a place where I didn't need to ask permission to do anything. I used to belong here, but I guess I belong in London now. Somehow both cities feels foreign. The childhood home that anchored me through the toughest moments in London now only exists in my head. It has become somewhere no plane ticket could take me back to. Somewhere down the road, I got so good at moving. I just couldn't figure out what I was moving towards. And gradually, home became a concept, like something intangible that I carry with me wherever I go. I still don't know where I belong, but maybe that's not the point anymore. Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going on a solo date. There's an art exhibition that I really want to see, and it's ending in like 2 days. Why did I wait until now, you may ask? Because I like to procrastinate even on the things that I love. But anyways, I used to go to art exhibitions and museums by myself all the time. I just stopped doing that because life. I haven't done this for a while and I'm feeling a bit scared, so I'm taking you with me. Okay, let's go. I saw somewhere that on average, people usually move around 11 times throughout their entire lives. Do you know how crazy that is? That means on average, people go through at least 11 wildly different eras before they leave this planet. When I was a kid, I always thought a home was like tap water. It keeps you alive, but you don't really think about it. I didn't realize how privileged I had to be to even think of it that way. Throughout my entire childhood, I was sheltered and safe and loved. Well, perhaps not in the way that I'd prefer, but it was love nonetheless. Although I didn't understand the implication to appreciate the love quite as much, maybe just enough to feel like a good person. I didn't mean to take my childhood home for granted, but perhaps because I somehow thought it would always be there, or because it was a place that I didn't really have to build, with house rules I didn't get to make but still had to follow. Someone just stopped me on the street and asked me for direction. I'm really flattered because I just look lost 24/7, and I am lost 24/7. He just took a look at me and be like, she knows what she's doing. I've been living in London for like 10 years and I still get lost. Oh my god. I've always loved the buildings and the apartments near Tate Modern. Like, it's so nice. That's my favorite. I aspire to live in this area one day. My home never felt like the way people describe it in books or on screen. Instead of a safe space you could retreat to whenever the storm gets too scary, I thought of it as a place I had to come back before 11:30 every night. I knew every corner of the apartment like the back of my hand. I knew exactly which chair I need to get to reach the top of the shelf where they kept all of the good ramen, the closet where my mom kept all of her cutest dresses that I would secretly borrow, the cabinet under my bed where I hid all of the makeup I just bought, or the lock of the front door that was gonna stay quiet if I turned my key just the right way after midnight. I had everything I needed, but ironically, all I wanted to do was move out. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew the answer wasn't in the apartment I grew up in. It wasn't because I didn't love my family, but the world outside looked so much more interesting. And I was constantly scrolling through a carousel of people living a life that I only saw in movies, while mine felt like it hadn't even started yet. I was way too intrigued to settle and way too naive to worry about the future. All I wanted was a place where I didn't need to ask permission to do anything. And then one day, I distilled my life into a suitcase. I flew 6,000 miles away from everything I knew and then unpacked everything under my name into a shoebox that took me exactly 5 steps to walk from end to end. My new home was cold and wet and completely devoid of color. Millennial Grey was working hard, but I worked harder. I covered the wall with pictures and posters I got from back home as an attempt to create some sort of comfort and familiarity. Ironically, they also reminded me of how far away I was from the life I left behind. But I was too busy getting distracted by everything else to care. I had to relearn how to function as an adult all over again while making sure I could afford to live like one. The buttons on the washing machine were confusing. The water filter I got never matched the jug if I bought them separately for some reason. My rice never cooked right without a rice cooker, and no matter how many times I hoovered, there was still hair on the freaking floor. Honestly, I felt like an RPG character trying all of the side quests while I was still doing the main storyline for maximum XP. I was trying to survive in a new map with rules I couldn't even figure out yet. Freedom always comes at a price, and in this new home, I had no one to answer to, but also no one to rely on. It was really exciting and scary at the same time. For the first time in my life, people I shared a roof with didn't also share my last name, and I realized my peace and sanity were at the mercy of these strangers. I pushed through every last bit of shyness and awkwardness to try and make friends. We all kind of played nice in the beginning, putting our best foot forward and just giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Somewhere along the process of managing the split between chores and figuring out the right etiquette to get along under the same roof, we realized not everybody makes a good flatmate, and sometimes it was just incompatibility. empty. The walls were thin, but our patience was thinner. Eventually, we went from exchanging recipes and gossips to only exchanging smiles and nods in the hallways just to be polite. At some point, I stopped looking for friendship because a civil acknowledgement was all everyone could muster. Then I started to retreat more and more into my room, and I realized I slowly turned it into both a sanctuary and a prison at the same time. We were all promised our 20s would be the best decade, but your housing situation usually proves otherwise. Then you realize that's just a myth or like false advertising from the older generation. I didn't know when it became the norm to move every 6 months in London. All I knew was the landlords cared very little about anything apart from milking every penny to fund their mortgage. Decent flatmates are hard to come by and even harder to keep. Flat hunting felt like a never-ending marathon, and the deposit that never made its way back to my bank account seemed more like an admission fee rather than a temporary expense. Many of my homes I had during my most chaotic and confusing era functioned more like a B&B. It almost felt like I was adjusting to a jet lag every time I moved. All the little rituals I built in the previous flat left me with muscle memories that became obsolete in the next place. Like I would reach for a non-existent light switch in the dark, or try to charge my phone on the wrong side of the bed, or just struggle to get the temperature right in the shower. It was an endless process of reminiscing and forgetting parts of my old home, and then simultaneously making new memories in my new one. And with every move, I packed lighter and moved on quicker. Somewhere down the road, I got so good at moving, I just couldn't figure out what I was moving towards. Life is so funny because the only thing keeping me grounded in this whole madness was ironically what I left behind in the first place. The pictures and posters I took with me to London made their way through all of my rental homes, and the thought of visiting what I'd now start calling home was the only thing keeping me sane until my flight departed. However, when I got back, the landing felt a bit off. It's weird because the city I thought I knew so well now operates to a rhythm that I couldn't really keep up with. Like my old credit card wasn't compatible with the new payment system. My favorite cafes and shops I used to go to all the time have all closed down. And I was literally studying the expanded subway map in a station I used to navigate without having to even look up from my phone. And the fact that I was only visiting made me feel even more like a tourist in a place that contributed literally 95% of my memory and personality. And I could feel the 5% growing when I struggled to string 2 sentences together in Cantonese when ordering food. Back home, my mom kept my room perfectly untouched, but I couldn't help but notice the chipped wood on the edge of my desk and also the wrinkle on her hands when she made my bed just the way she used to. I also felt out of sync from a routine that once felt really natural. I wasn't hungry yet when dinner was ready, and I forgot we needed to take turns to use the bathroom. It took me a while to come to terms that the childhood home that anchored me through the toughest moments in London now only exists in my head. It has become somewhere no plane ticket could take me back to. I thought home would always be there, and in a way it still is, just not the way I remembered it. Time didn't freeze or even slow down because I left. It just moved on without me while I missed all the birthdays and Christmas parties. I used to belong here, but I guess I belong in London now, but somehow both cities feels foreign. Aww. Bringing the cats to the vet for their annual vaccine.
Sorry.
I was emotionally homeless. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks while I was utterly alone back in London in my apartment. Over the years, I collected addresses like Pokemon cards, but it didn't matter what postcode I chose, they all felt temporary. It's like I was running around in circles this whole time, feeling empty and exhausted and erratic. Moving from home to home, I was constantly tracing back, looking forward, comparing and contrasting the past and the future, but never for a second was I thinking about the present. And then for the first time in years, I actually looked around my flat, like really looked, and I noticed it was the most me out of all of the homes I've lived in. I saw the framed artwork from my vision board I could finally afford, my seasoning rack that I meticulously curated over the years. Then there are my 2 cats who literally gave me the will to live when life got too much, and a human being who always made sure I'd never nap on the sofa without a blanket. Without realizing it, I have shaped and molded every home I had to be the perfect manifestation of where I was in life. And gradually, home became a concept, like something intangible that I carry with me wherever I go. Like the memories that transcended into personality, perhaps it's the company I found along the way, or the confidence in knowing that I'll be okay wherever I am. I feel like the feeling of homelessness became a rite of passage. I still don't know where I belong, but maybe that's not the point anymore.